Good morning.
Good morning, Christine. How are you?
I'm having technical difficulties. I had to get in on my phone instead of,
Oh, okay.
I'm still trying to get in on my computer. So if you see me bump out, that's her.
Okay. Will I be able to share my screen
You
at some point?
to handle it all from my phone, and that's what I should be able to do.
Okay. It's not a biggie if I can't. I just thought I would show a graphic at some point that might be
Yeah, you're
interesting.
sweet. I see, let's see, admit, Ray LaMarche is coming. Chuck Root is here. Charlotte Russell is one of our new peeps. Hi, Charlotte. You're muted.
Hello.
Nice to have you here. Charlotte is a not even Rotarian yet, so but she's a
Wow.
future leader. I can tell you that right now.
That's great.
She's keeping my feet in the fire about starting this impact club, aren't you, Charlotte?
Yes.
And Doreen is our speaker today, so I'm excited to have you here too. Hi, Ray. Did you get my email this morning about that human trafficking guy? He was talking to Michelle Corradetti about possibly coming out here.
He's the Rotary contact, I would assume, because it was nht.org, which is Rotary's a Rotary site on human trafficking. So
Good. Well, anyway, I knew if I put you in contact with him, that would take care of it. Then I could just back out. You guys can save the world that way.
totally fine. Totally fine.
Okay, I got more people to admit here.
Good morning, Doreen. I'm Jim. I'm the DGE down here in 5110. Welcome to our group.
Thanks,
Hi, Jim. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Jim, will you make sure she can share her screen? Because I don't know what I'm doing on this phone thing.
Well, I'm signed in as me, not as the district, so I don't think I have host capability.
Okay, well, let me see if
I'm
I
looking.
can.
Hang on.
I should be able to. Okay, no. There you guys are. Janelle's here. Hi, Sonia from Newport.
Good morning.
Chuck Root's here, but I don't see the real him. I just see his picture. Frank is here. Bruce is here. Hi, Frank. Nice to have everybody. Let's see
So
now.
are you getting her hosted?
You know, I don't see on my phone where I do that. It's just giving me pictures.
Let me pop out and pop back in as the district, and then I can see what I can do.
I'm on safe driving mode, which is absolutely no help. Thanks.
Hopefully I'll be back.
Thanks, Jim. I'm still trying to get on my computer on Zoom, but no way, Jose. I had trouble getting on another meeting this morning too. So I don't know. Tried rebooting and everything. Ah, technology. Hi, Jill.
Good morning, Christine.
How are you?
I'm good. Chuck, how's your wife?
She's just fine. Yes, thanks for asking.
Yeah, she got over that member at our mixer. She is.
Oh, you're right.
I was nervous about that one when I
Yeah.
did it.
You know, she's doing well. Thank you for that.
Good.
Good morning, Janet.
Good morning.
Let's see who else have. Oh, Jim's back, so we have some leadership. Laura looks like she just checked in. Bruce Reese is here from Illinois Valley.
That's Isaac's, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Bruce. Come on.
Jim, can you get her hosting ability?
No,
You can't?
no,
Man,
because
If you
I'm the
click-
co-host, you're the host.
maybe I
You
should
have to
sign
leave,
that.
so I become the host and then I can do it.
Are you
Or
a
if I could-
are you a co-host, Jim?
Yeah,
Okay, well, if you go to participants, next to my name, you should be able to click on the 3 dots and make me a co-host too.
it's not giving me the option. I can pin
Okay.
you, I can spotlight you, I can rename you, I can do a lot, but I couldn't co-host you on it.
Okay, if you go to share screen and click there, will it let you allow multiple people to share screens?
Multiple people can share. Okay, now let's
All right,
see.
let me just take it for a test drive. Yes, that works. Thank you.
Oh, you
Okay.
guys are amazing.
Now, you guys are up and running. I can't stay this morning, so I just wanted to pop in, say hi, make sure it was working, and I'm going to leave.
Well,
Good
thank
to
you so
see you,
much.
Jim. I'll see you on one of our other calls this week.
Yes,
Very,
you
very
will.
soon, I'm sure. Take care.
Thank you so much. All right, well, let's get this party started. I usually like to start about 4 minutes after, so we're running a minute late, but what's new, huh? I want to introduce Doreen Kelsey. She is somebody that I met through a program I took of yours, right, on membership. And she's very interested in impact clubs. And as luck would have it, Laura Abruzini, who's on this call, Charlotte Russell, who's also on this call, and I are trying to start an impact club in our district in Eugene area. And we don't quite know what that is. And so even though we're trying to start it, we're taking this program so that we can find out more about impact clubs. Doreen has a lot of background with Rotary International. She's originally past district governor in Arizona. Which district was it?
New Mexico and West Texas, and it was 5520.
I'm sorry, I don't
No
have
worries.
my notes because nothing else is working.
Okay.
And now you're in Alberta. So if you will take it from there, Doreen, fill in any of the blanks that I left out. I really, really appreciate your willingness to be here and talk to us today.
Okay, thank you. I'm really glad to be here too. And I hail from Christina Lake, British Columbia, and our district is an international district that includes British Columbia, parts of Southeast British Columbia, North Idaho, and Eastern Washington State. So that's where I live now. I am the district membership chair, and I'm very interested in making Rotary more relevant for younger generations of new members. To sort of set up this conversation, I'm going to start my timer so I stay on time. I want to ask people that have been in the workforce, say for 20 years or possibly more, has the nature of work changed? In terms of your flexibility, your ability to leave the office for an hour or two at your choice on a weekly basis, in terms of maybe your employer's willingness to pay for your Rotary expenses. What sort of changes have you observed?
Just unmute yourself if you're willing to chime in.
Well, I'll chime in, but my situation's different because I actually changed positions. And when I changed positions, I used to have my my boss pay for my employer pay for my Rotary dues. When I changed positions, I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to take it on personally, and so that's been my choice. And as far as the ability to leave the office, it's gotten a lot harder because I've taken on a position where it's a lot more difficult for me to sneak away.
Okay. Anybody else want to share any of those observations? Okay. Well, I'll share. Oh, go ahead. Somebody can share. Thank you.
That was just me. So I wanted to add that when I joined Rotary in 1988, before dirt was invented, almost all my peers had expense accounts to come to Rotary. And I don't find that that's the case anymore. People have to foot their own bill, which is a lot different than it was. And I had a big argument in Newport with a man who was in the old boy category. And he said, I paid my dues and I think everybody should going forward should have to pay their dues too. And I'm saying, I asked him, you mean if I couldn't have paid my dues because I didn't have an expense account, I wouldn't have made a good Rotarian? And I really found an issue with that. But at that time, that's where it was left. And I was really bummed out about it at the time because I couldn't get any change through. But that was one thing that I see that's changed. And the whole thing about trying to take 2 hours off to go to and from a meeting is, especially when they're weekly lunch meetings, is pretty undoable. So.
Right. Thank you for sharing that, Christine. That has been my experience. When I joined Rotary a little bit after you did in '96, and I've worked in the financial industry nearly my entire career. And in the beginning of my Rotary experience, my employer encouraged me to be out of the office a lot and to make contacts with the public. And it didn't, it wasn't a problem to be gone for 2 hours every Wednesday, around noon. In terms of family obligations, I think that parents take on more responsibility for scheduling and coordinating and attending activities of their children. And that takes up a lot of time that might be spent on Rotary projects or serving on Rotary committees. Kim, I see you have your hand up.
Thank you.
You want to add something?
Well, I guess I would agree in some ways where either it used to be more common to cover expense accounts, or in my case, I think that I also just sort of think, and I could be wrong because I know there's a lot of young people here and there's a lot of clubs who have younger people, but I think also as people age
Thank you.
and retire, then they're having to cover their own dues, either at a reduced rate, whatever your club's decided about that, at a reduced rate or something like that, where my guess is, I was a CPA and in a public accounting firm, they were pretty open to covering expenses of various organizations and allowing their people out there, because obviously that's how you meet people and gain clients. But I just don't see that happening as you continue to age and, and retire. That's just not as feasible.
Well, I certainly think expense is one challenge for younger people and perhaps retired persons to stay in Rotary. Even more so, I think that being able to participate at the level that is expected or customary in many Rotary clubs could be a larger obstacle. And I think we could also agree that Rotary clubs are relevant in contemporary times in terms of the service that we offer and to our communities, and the fact that we make our communities a better place to live. And younger generations are geared to service. So there's a great match there. What they have less time for is spending weeks or months planning service projects, fundraisers, and social events. So this idea of an impact club is a pairing of a legacy club, a traditional Rotary club, with a type of satellite in which members can show up to do service projects, perform service, and go home. And they don't have any other meetings to attend except for service projects if they wish. They're always welcome to attend the Rotary meetings of the host club or the central club, but they're not obligated to. They may or may not pay reduced dues. Rotary dues for impact clubs like Rotary dues for regular clubs, companion clubs in this vernacular, cover Rotary International dues, Rotary District dues, and some portion of operating expenses as determined by the club. But since meals aren't typically involved, and that can be the largest expense for a Rotarian, it does often make it more affordable for younger members to participate in Rotary and do what they want to do, which is to provide service to their community and to be involved with other people that have similar ideals. So an impact club is a type of a satellite club. And this type of satellite club can be any size, and they don't leave the companion club, because the purpose of a satellite club in this instance isn't to grow to 20 members and then to become independent and be their own Rotary club. The idea is that they're a group of people that want to provide service, and they don't necessarily have time to be involved in a lot of the administrative or other responsibilities that are needed to keep a legacy club running. Presumably, a legacy club has plenty of
He has one too.
other members that do want to do that and
But we do have
plan
one, so that's good.
and attend board meetings and committees.
Somebody's not muted. If you're not muted, would you please mute until
I
you
think
want to
it's-
say something?
Yeah, I think it's Bruce, but maybe he could. Thank you, Bruce. So this model that was developed also comes with a member website where the members of the Impact Club can log on to this special website. They don't have to log on and navigate Rotary Club Central, which can be a little intimidating to even experienced Rotarians, I have to admit. And they can track their service hours. They can submit service photos. They can access a service calendar, and they can enter service opportunities. So it makes it really easy for them to participate and for the Legacy Club to track all of those, and presumably the secretary or someone else will log all of those hours in Rotary Club Central. So I would like to ask you, what kinds of questions do you have about how a legacy club and a companion or impact club can work together in this kind of arrangement? What are some of the obstacles you see? What are some of the good points? What are some of the concerns you might have if you were to pursue an opportunity like this?
Anybody want to just speak up?
So this is Ray from Springfield. How is this different from having members in your club who choose to just participate in service projects and don't attend the meetings?
Well, it's not that much difference, except there's no, I guess it would depend on what your club's policy is regarding attendance. In many legacy clubs, even though Rotary International doesn't require 50% attendance any longer, some clubs will not let a member stay an active member if they don't attend, meetings on a regular basis. And even if there's not any enforcement of that, sometimes people look critically at members who don't show up for meetings. They might be paying their dues regularly. They might be donating to the Rotary Foundation. They might be contributing in other ways, but it's not uncommon for people to sort of criticize that and say, well, so-and-so is never here. So it kind of removes that stigma and it removes the obligation, because the purpose of the Impact Club is to do service projects, and they're welcome to do more, but they're not obligated to.
I have a question.
Okay, and I see Kim had her
Sorry.
hand up, so I'll answer Kim and then I'll go back to you, Jill.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Well, and I guess you've somewhat answered my question a little bit. I just know in our club, again, aging club, but we have lost some members recently because they said it's not it doesn't feel the same as when they joined, the engagement's not the same. And so they've left the club. They haven't necessarily gone to other clubs, but they've left the club because they just feel like, hey, I didn't join to become a lunch club. And yet I have some older members that are just perfectly happy being a lunch club. And so I guess for me, it's the difficulty. And I mean, Christine over at Southtown seems to be pretty successful at doing some of these satellite clubs, but just how do you get your club, your board to even start thinking in this direction?
I guess you have to consider all of the advantages to the club. So it's a way to bring new energy and engagement to the club. The bread and butter of impact clubs are micro projects. So these are projects that are small and easy to do, but cumulatively, they have significant impact on the community. And I think that, everything changes over time. And as a society, we have been changed by the pandemic. And nothing is ever going to be the same again. And so we're all trying to battle the lack of engagement, the difficulty in bringing people back together. Our district nearly canceled its fall assembly because there seemed to be a lack of interest. But when we met people where they were, and we tried different approaches and many different forms of media to reach them, we quadrupled our expectation of attendance. So it's possible to bring people back together. Now Jill had a question, so I want to make sure in the time allotted to me, I answer Jill's question.
Well, I have a question and a comment. First of all, the comment is, in our club, the projects have always been a great membership tool. You get people to come and participate in projects, they develop friendships, and they end up becoming a much stronger member. So I see this tool as ultimately bringing in, as you say, legacy club members from initially starting it as an impact club member. My question is, you mentioned about going and logging in hours. What's the purpose of that? Who looks at it? What is there a goal of hours? I don't understand that.
Well, among non-profit organizations, certainly within the United States and Canada, and probably to some extent internationally as well, the way that we as a nonprofit organization, a community service organization, communicate our impact to the community and our value to the community is by converting service hours and in-kind donations into the impact on the community. And so Rotary International has been tracking those statistics for several years now, and they get entered in Rotary Club Central in the same area where you set your goals and monitor your progress in meeting your goals. And that's how in press releases and other forms of measurement, Rotary communicates its dollar impact and its service impact to the larger community. It's part of public image. Oops.
I see that Charlotte, one of our new spearheads for a new impact club we're starting. Charlotte, you want to share what you just said in the chat and expand on it?
About the tracking hours at the schools where my daughters are in the, where my daughters go to school. When I go in to volunteer, so if I'm doing something with a garden project or even just helping with picture day, I go in and I sign into the office. So I can sign in as a visitor if I'm just there to watch an award ceremony, but you can volunteer or you can sign in as a volunteer and it'll track your hours. So by like the end of the school year, I have like 100 hours volunteered to the school or whatever, and they get to track that and see. And then you even log in as to where you were. So I volunteered for picture day. I volunteered for a school garden project. I volunteered to, on a field trip or whatever, and they can see where help goes. And I mean, it's not just me, it's anyone who volunteers. So that's just adding on to the point of tracking hours.
Thank you. And I know that there is a multiplier that they use, and I can't remember, Doreen, maybe you remember how much it is, but when they figure how much that's the value is there for
Mhm.
X number of dollars per 100 hours or for
Right.
those 100.
Yeah, I don't recall what the multiplier is either. In the old days, the way we measured the impact of public relations was to measure column inches in newspaper mentions. So we don't do that anymore because most media isn't print anymore, but
Right.
it's just another way to monetize what Rotary's contribution is, convert that to dollars and say what our impact is, our social impact. I'm sharing my screen now. This is the impact website where impact members can just click and enter their service hours. They can enter service opportunities. They can submit photos, and then those are used in press releases. It's just very user friendly.
Can you give us, my phone is so teeny, I couldn't get the link. Can you put it in the chat?
Yeah, I'll put the link in the chat, and I will also put, let's see, this is actually from a document. So I'll share the document, and then I will also put a link in here, and there's a contact for anybody that wants to see about utilizing that website for themselves. Let's see if it'll let me attach a document.
Or you can send it to me because I always send out a summary.
Yeah, I'll send it. I don't think I have the authority to send a document. So, and then let me put in the contact information as well.
Thank you. And I'll just forward all that out when I send out the summary. Janet, you're from Ashland. Can you unmute and tell us what you think of this and what questions you have and how you might be able to utilize it?
Yes, and I had to mute because there was a leaf blower outside my window. But you know, I'm the PE this year, so I'm just trying to learn a whole lot about other things we can do. We've talked a little bit about impact group type projects. I think in general, there's you know, there was a sense that many clubs face about doing something different than we've done before. But I'm just trying to learn more to see if that will be an option for our club going forward. We have some pretty successful and well-staffed, volunteer-staffed service projects that I think are similar, but they're tied to the club in a way that we talked about earlier. So, you know, there's still a lot of expectations around club participation in addition to participation in the service projects. So just trying to learn more.
Thank you.
A common objection that I hear from clubs when we approach them with the idea of adding a satellite is they don't want to lose members to the satellite club. And that's sort of an interesting take because satellite club, or in this case, an impact club, which is a specific type of satellite club, they are part of your club's active members. So they increase your membership. And since the purpose of an impact club is not to spring off and become an independent club, they will stay with you. And I think that it's one of the most effective ways to attract younger members that can't attend regular meetings. I get all kinds of membership leads from Rotary International, and these individuals are requesting clubs with weekend meeting times and evening meeting times, and we don't really have that to offer them in most of our communities. And if there's something that would allow them to participate in social events and service projects without the expectation of attending a midday meeting or a weekday meeting, I think we would attract a lot more younger members.
I see Ray has her hand up. Ray, would you mind if I ask somebody that hasn't had a chance to talk yet, and I'll circle back to you. I just want to make sure everybody, you know, our impact club, started by asking our potential members what they wanted to get involved with, and they came up with something children specific. Laura, are you on? If you can unmute yourself and tell us about how you came up with the project that we're doing, which is not one of the Southtown projects. It's something that's all their own.
Yeah, so when we decided to meet and did that survey or whatever, they wanted to do something about children. My daughter-in-law's a registered nurse at Sacred Heart, and I wanted to do something that is not mainstream, that every group is doing, that every service organization is doing. So I asked her if there was children in the hospital that didn't get the attention they needed. And there's a group, she said, called Child Life. So I emailed, got a hold of Child Life, and it is an organization at the hospital that helps children who are there for long-term or for whatever reason. Sometimes their parents can't come see them, price of gas, etc. There's a lot of reasons why that they can be by themselves there. And so this group, she sent out a list of toys, games, stuff that they like to give to the children. We found out by delivering them one time that they place these items. The children can get very depressed, or they're very they'll stay in their beds or whatnot. So to motivate them, they'll hide the toys in the hallways along the way and tell them to go find whatever it is. And so the kids, it's a very cool program. And so we've taken that on because we've just asked people to bring a donation. When they come to the meeting, bring something out of this list, and then got together with a group of them and deliver it to the hospital. So that's what we've done.
Thank you, Laura. That's been a real successful thing. And it was really heartwarming when the nurse told us how she was using those toys. And you can imagine these sick little kids that won't get out of bed, and now they will because they get to go find something. It's a treasure hunt. Frank, do you want to add anything or piggyback or question?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I do have a question, kind of along the lines of what Kim is asking too. I'm thinking through from the standpoint of the potential impact club members and kind of what's in it for them, from a sense of why should a group of people align under a Rotary Club to do this work, as opposed to just go out and do it themselves, where they, because if we really think about it, one of the functions of clubs historically has been servicing as a condensed point of communication, and that's not required in society anymore. So people can go out and do these things on their own, and they don't necessarily need the framework around them anymore. So my question specifically is, what can a Rotary Club offer a group of people that are interested in going out and doing works, that they get the benefit of being nestled in the Rotary framework, but clearly we're giving them a pass on some of the heavy lifting around Rotary too. So what do they get? What's in it for them?
Well, Christine, do you want me to answer that question, or did you want to?
I have an answer, but I'm deferring to you.
Okay, well,
but I'll probably piggyback because I can't wait.
I guess there are projects that don't require pre-planning, but most of the projects I've been involved in do involve some kind of planning and coordination with another organization. Certainly anything that involves children requires volunteers to be vetted. So I think that the volunteers benefit, the members of the Impact Club benefit from the infrastructure that Rotary has to offer, and the fact that some of the members that do have more flexibility and are more inclined to do the administrative side and the planning side are willing to take care of that, and they can just show up. There was an organization that I became aware of at a Rotary Zone Institute in Monterey, maybe 20 years ago, that was considered very innovative at that point in time, called BRIC. And I don't know if you've heard of BRIC. but that's just what BRIC did. BRIC volunteers, the home office of this non-governmental organization, scoped out and organized projects, and then they would just use social media to let people know where these project opportunities were. And whoever wanted to show up could show up, and they would do their work for 4 to 8 hours and then go have a beer and go home. And so when I think of this approach, it kind of reminds me of my acquaintance with BRIC and what it sought to do. So I think that Rotary gives legitimacy. I would think that organizations needing people to do work want to have some confidence that these volunteers have been vetted. And you know, and it's a symbiotic relationship, because the volunteers that are doing this under the Rotary umbrella help to enhance our public image as well.
True. Yeah, I just came back from a Zone Institute in Salt Lake City, and there were 600 of my closest Rotarian friends. The focus of that institute, besides being leadership development and volunteerism and membership, you know, how we recruit and can make a bigger impact, was peace. And we were talking about the trails to peace. And if you can imagine 600 people in a room in little tables of 4 at a time, talking about and answering individual questions about what does peace feel like? How could we get there? I wrote an article in our district newsletter about my take on it, and I was blown away. And I wasn't prepared to be that blown away. But to get back to Frank's question, Rotary is the biggest network in the world. And if you want to use that network, you can reach out and touch somebody in the Ukraine and volunteer to help them. Through that network, you can make connections like I did with Ray this morning, with somebody that is very big time involved in stopping human trafficking, and as she is. So through our network, yeah, it gives us legitimacy, but it also gives us all this potential and these contacts, whether they know us personally or not. There was also a lot of leadership development there. And of course, we're recognized as a top charity in the world. So where we say we're going to work is where the money goes. I'm going to stop there. Ray has her hand up. I think Laura had her hand up, and probably some other people haven't had a chance to speak. Ray.
Yeah, I just needed to unmute. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So like whoever it was, Janet, who said she's a PE this year and she's wanting to learn, I'm in the same boat. I had never heard of an impact club until this meeting. So bear with me as I'm thinking a lot of these things aloud. I think you've answered the members of the impact club are really members of your Rotary Club, who you are just recognizing and saying you're going to serve in a different role. Is that what I'm understanding? It's not really a new club. It's a way of recognizing those who are unable to attend weekly meetings, but want to be connected through service. With that said, then as we talk to potential members, are we saying that we have a club? Is this how it might work? Not in stone, but we have a club that's got 2 foci. One being, you know, the weekly come to lunch, it's social, it's all of the things that we do. It's fundraising, it's social, it's networking, etc. But we also recognize that not everybody can meet that. And so we have a second branch. Are we a branch of the club then that says, we recognize you are unable to come to weekly meetings, although you're certainly welcome to come at any time. You're welcome to zip in on Zoom, but it will be your service projects that bring you into Rotary, and that the costs are basically the same because you're paying your dues to the club. I can't remember the word you used, the Legacy Club. You're paying your dues to the Legacy Club. You're a member of the Legacy Club, but you are recognized within the club as a separate group. So does that summarize what you are saying to me?
Essentially, that's correct. And, you know, some people don't like the term satellite club, but I think of a satellite as it's a little orbit, you know, that is still within the orbit of the primary club, the legacy club, but it's like a little option that people can adopt if they can't attend regular club meetings or serve on a committee. In many clubs, all members are expected to serve on a committee, and that's another time constraint that people have.
Mhm. And so just as a follow-up, as far as financial obligation, in our club, for example, we do a couple of fundraisers during the year. And I assume it's club dependent, but are the satellite or impact club folk, is the expectation that they still participate?
No, if they want to.
Whole club?
That's going to pretty much be determined by the relationship that's developed between the legacy club and the satellite club, and that would be different in every arrangement.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
they would decide that, yeah, and because usually meals are not involved,
Right.
that's the biggest cost in Rotary is, you know, typically $25 or more a week for a meal.
Mhm.
So that's a lot more.
Right. So if somebody's not paying that, perhaps there would be an expectation that they can donate $100.
Yeah, it certainly frees up money.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's hear from Laura, and then there are a few other people that haven't had a time to ring in.
I just wanted to bring up the fact that being in membership and recruiting people for Rotary to let them know about Rotary, to get the word out. There's not, a lot of people don't know about Rotary. They've heard about it, they don't know what it is or whatnot. So these impact clubs, from what I can see, allow people to come because they want to do service, which is the basics of Rotary. That's what we do. And then they learn about Rotary through our impact group. So I think it's a really great tool for membership, and that it's really diversified Rotary so that people can have the experience they want. And it just makes it simple.
I think Rotary International has made a lot of progress in giving clubs and districts flexibility. And it surprises me how little advantage we've taken of it. Pretty much with an impact club or a satellite club, it's whatever you want it to be. You know, you add it to your bylaws and say, this is what our impact or our satellite club is. Is that correct, Doreen, or I'm talking out of turn?
Yeah, the legacy club's bylaws determine the relationship, the level of autonomy, and all of the expectations of the impact club. And likewise, the impact club has the option of having its own bylaws, but it's not required to have bylaws. The impact club would have a chair as opposed to a president, and they probably wouldn't have committees, but they could if they wanted to. Right,
that's the way our satellite club has a chair, and they just fall underneath the bylaws of our parent club. So and we still haven't figured out as an impact club what we're doing yet. But we've got projects and we've got members, but none of them are Rotary, you know, we're not there yet, but we're making some progress. I will be talking to our board tomorrow to get the sponsorship for the whole program that we're putting together. But I'd like to hear from Bruce Reese, who hasn't had a chance to talk, if you're in earshot. Doesn't sound like it. Let's see, help me.
Well, he's muted, so he might be talking and he doesn't realize he's muted. I don't know.
Oh, that would be. Okay, how about, who else haven't I called on? I know I haven't gotten everybody, but I'm working on my phone here.
Oh, Bruce doesn't have a microphone, so.
Oh, okay.
There's somebody named Aura Lee. I don't think we've talked.
Oh yeah, you're from
Well, this is not orally. It may say orally. But this is Harry Hamilton. I'm the Rotarian. And
Okay.
I'm
And you're from
somehow,
Bend?
I'm in Sun River.
Sun River, right, okay.
Sun River Lapine Rotary Club. And we don't have any major projects going on right now. We do little projects as they become available. And this notion of an impact club versus a legacy club is kind of new to me. So, and I'm transitioning out. We've got a couple of new people coming in as membership chairs. And I'll explore with them how they want to approach building the club with these two branches. We generally have a fairly stable, though small, legacy group operating, coming in for a Wednesday breakfast meeting every week. And then sporadically, we have an impact operation where there's a project that seems to call for Rotary attention, and we put together a group of people that can work on that. It may be that we need to organize that a little bit more and specifically find ways to get projects going and include people that way. We have, I would say, many of our members are working and would find it a little bit difficult to do projects during the day. Weekends might work, but otherwise they come for breakfast, they meet, we then quickly disperse and people go to their jobs. And so the legacy portion of our club is relatively strong. It's the impact portion that I say is a little bit weak at the moment. So we need to beef that up. And I don't know why my computer says orally. I'm going to have to do something about that.
No worries. Doreen, any comments?
I think that, you know, we're presented from time to time with, the great thing about Rotary is the opportunity to learn from what other clubs are doing. And that doesn't mean that we always need to emulate or imitate everything that other clubs do. But quite often, that's the beginning of innovation. If we find that some of the ideas other clubs share and have implemented could provide innovation for our approach, it's a difficult job cultivating, attracting, and engaging members. A lot of people don't know about Rotary, as someone mentioned in today's session, and other people think that Rotary is kind of an anachronism and not relevant to contemporary times. So this is an opportunity for Rotary to adapt to the needs of potential members, and I think to innovate. And the fact that Rotary is offering more flexibility means that there are so many more possibilities. And if this isn't the right possibility for your clubs, maybe it will inspire something a little different that could be the next innovation that your club could adopt. So I like the opportunity to hear what other clubs are doing, things that are successful for them. And then that gives us the opportunity to customize it for ourselves and for our own clubs.
Now, Rotary's made it easy to be flexible. I'm kind of a ready, fire, aim personality. And so I'll get out there and do something before it's okay. And then I'll ask forgiveness if somebody doesn't like it. But you know what? I haven't had that problem. The new satellite we started before COVID, grew by 150% during COVID. And one of their, and these are all 85+ year olds, so they're not young professionals, but they have a membership attraction model that's so different from anybody else in Rotary that I've seen. They invite anybody and everybody to all of their functions, their meetings, their programs, their service projects, and their fundraisers. And there's no selling of Rotary. There's not an application in sight. And eventually people say, well, what's this Rotary? And then they end up joining, and that's the way they've been growing. And so I'm stealing that idea in my efforts to start new clubs. But see, you don't have to do what has always been done. In fact, it's good not to. Kim, you have your hands up.
She just said she had to run, so
rat.
I think we missed it. Yeah, I want to add on to what you just said, Christine, because I've often said that inviting somebody to a meeting for their first exposure to Rotary, when maybe they don't know anything about Rotary, might be a little more intimidating than inviting them to join a service project or a social event. So I think that's a great approach.
Charlotte, would you mind picking up the ball and talking about how our approach is in our little fledgling group, what we do as our meetings, and how we work service into that? You want to say anything about that to us?
So we kind of Chris started it as a like after hours networking thing at a local restaurant. And we paid, I think it was like $20 to go, and we got like 2 drink tickets, and there was food. And it was, how many did we have that first one? Like 40
About
people?
35. Mm-hmm.
And and we went around the room, introduced ourselves. So we had that networking aspect for young professionals. And then a lot of Rotarians were there answering questions, telling about what Rotary does. And then we did that a couple of times, and the location wasn't, we found another location that was a bit more adequate for what we needed. There hasn't been much traffic to that one, but it's kind of narrowed the focus to those that were interested in the impact project. So instead of, currently we're baby stages, we've had like 3 meetings, and instead of paying any dues, we bring toys for the children's hospital, coloring books, Play-Doh, whatever it is they've requested, board games. And like Chris said, they'll hide the parts around the hospital and make the kids get up out of bed to actually go find all the parts to their game so they can play. And that's stuff the hospital does after we drop the toys off. Yeah, we just meet. The food or drink is whatever we want to buy for our own selves while we're there. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, and when I fly it by the board tomorrow night, I'm going to ask them to sponsor this group. We will pay dues, but instead of paying dues on a quarterly or every 6 months, you get this big chunky bill of $140 or something, whatever your club does. We've made it possible for members to pay in monthly increments. So $24 a month sounds a little more palatable to a young professional that might have a lot else going on in their lives than having a big chunky invoice come at the end of 6 months. And what I'm asking the club to do is to forgive the initiation fee, which we usually charge $100, and to forgive the first 6 months of dues. And that way, when our members start paying the $24 a month, they'll never be delinquent, if that's the name of the word. They'll never be behind in their dues. They'll always be paid current, and they'll be a full-fledged Rotarian, able to go to any Rotary club anywhere and drop in as a full-fledged member and meet and greet and network with Rotarians and find out what other projects are all over the country or the world for that matter. So getting back to Frank's question, there's a big benefit there. and it supports the service projects that the club does and amplifies them. Does that make sense, Charlotte?
Yeah, so our dues would they fund our projects or the Legacy Club?
Right now, our club doesn't have, we don't pay dues, but we also don't have a cost to the projects we're doing. We may come up with our own projects at some point, right? Right now, everybody's just bringing a toy or a gift or a game. So, you know, that's where everybody's kind of self-funding that project. But there are a lot more projects. You missed the last meeting that the parent club has that we're supporting that, and a lot more opportunities there.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kind of wondering if it was going to be like if we decided to do, I don't know, say a community garden or something like that, that all the dues that we've paid would be paid for the wood and the soil to build, and then the project would be like building the bracelet or whatever. Or if it
Part
was
of the
something
dues,
to go through.
part of the dues for any Rotary Club, and everybody else knows this, you're supporting Rotary International in the district, but that money ends up coming back in terms of grants and support for the projects that we do. So it's giving, but it's getting at the same time. So, and will we have our own projects? I bet we will. It will be whatever you guys want it to be.
Christine, when you say you're approaching the board to sponsor, does that mean you're asking them to cover international and district dues so that new members don't have to pay?
For the first 6 months, yes.
Okay.
And I know I got that idea from other membership drives in other clubs that they forgave the first 6 months of dues just to get people in. But then they waited 6 months and then they gave them this huge invoice. And so that wasn't very successful. So I think, you know, getting them in and having, you know, little increments is a little bit better way to do that. And anyway, we'll see. That's the plan at this point, but I'm going to ask the board if that's something that they're willing to sponsor.
Okay, thank you.
Christine, could I add something that this is a way that my little club, we just chartered a year ago, and we're a pretty small club. For all intents and purposes, we're kind of like an impact club because we mostly only get together to do projects and fundraisers. But there's a group in our community that is very engaged in our community, very respected, and that is the Fire Hall Society. And their meeting is the same night as our club's meeting. And our club members did not want to change the meeting just for one group of people, but they want to join our club. So an impact club would be a great opportunity to bring them into the fold, and they can participate in all of our activities according to their availability, and they don't have to attend our meeting, and we don't have to change our weekly meeting time. So
it just gives people more options to be involved in service through Rotary. That's, I guess, the bottom line of what we're all here for. Rotary would die if it wasn't for people wanting to serve their community. And that's what we all have in common. And I think there's more people than just Rotarians that have that in common. And what we need to do is give them a vehicle that's maybe not as traditional as coming to a weekly lunch meeting to do that. We have 3 minutes. Does anybody have a wrap up they'd like to say, or something that they personally harvested out of this program? It's sort of a, gosh, sky's the limit with what you can do with this. And in my case, with Charlotte and Laura, we're making this up as we go along. But it's a fun trip, let me tell you.
I have a bit of a comment, something that Dylan brought up when I met at a social the other day. Why, like, does Rotary, I don't know, it's like there's a 2030 club, which I guess is what Rotary kind of does, but it's for like 20 to 29-year-olds. Is there a way that we can like work with them so when they like age out, they can just become Rotarians?
Excellent point.
Crowd.
Excellent point. And I think that we have been less than successful doing it thus far, because when they when they age out, they come to a club and see, you know, a bunch of gray hair. And I don't say that unkindly because my hair is gray, but, and I like my hair, but they need to find the same relativity that they did in the 2030 club. And in the case of an impact club, they will. But it's a good place to mind. We've already got a PR committee and a membership committee that have met focusing on this very issue. So at some point we'll grow up and be an impact club.
If I could answer Charlotte as well, I do believe this airport club that really does reach out to the 2030 club. There is one club in our district that makes a huge effort to do that, even though others of us have done it on a more informal basis. So your idea is totally right on target.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank Doreen. Doreen, you want to say one word to wrap us up?
Well, I put a quote in the chat from Paul Harris about change, and he had the foresight to realize that Rotary would be different in future years. And I think we should all embrace Paul Harris's observation and encouragement for us to adapt with a changing world. And thank you so much for hosting me today.
Help me give her a round of applause. Doreen, it was so nice of you. And I have to tell you, when I was considering and applying for district governor for the year 25-26, Doreen was one of my key confidants, mentors, and you know, gave me a lot of advice. So I really appreciate that on a personal note. So thank you. And we will see everyone next month.
Bye.
Bye. I'll send out the recordings tomorrow and then recap. Thanks.
I'll send you that attachment.
Perfect.
I'll try to get Harry to appear instead of Rotary, instead of Orally.
Oh, well, you'll probably figure it out as soon as you're off.
Go to participants. So at the bottom of the screen, there says like mute, stop video, participants, share screen. Go to participants. And then on yourself, it should be the first line, hit more, and you hit rename.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Charlotte, you're a jewel.
I was a teacher during COVID. I know how to work Zoom.
Oh, I don't know why I had so much trouble with Zoom this morning, because I'm on my phone because I couldn't, my computer's just like not letting me into Zoom.
Yeah.
So I tried rebooting and all that stuff, and I'm gonna uninstall my Zoom account and reinstall it, whatever. I'll figure it out.
All right, Chris.
Well,
See
thank you so much
later.
for coming, Charlotte. I know
You're
you were
welcome. Thank you
incredibly
for
busy,
inviting me.
but I'll have you at our next meeting kind of give you your take on what you heard and saw today. And it was really beneficial to have you here.
It would have been nice if Dylan or Kim could have come.
Dylan had a meeting. Morgan, who you haven't met yet, but she's going to do our PR, and she's a graphic designer and a website developer. Couldn't be here. And who else did I ask? Kim, Dr. Kim.
He's the only other one there is.
She's probably saving the world, you know, or one patient at a time. So, but I'm glad that you could make it. I know you guys were all busy.
Yeah, no, I totally wrote it on the calendar.
All right.
Fred, I was going to say something else. I forgot. All right. See you later.
Stay in touch.
Yep.
Bye-bye.